Hi Raymond, can you hear and see me? Servus. Ist das Bayern oder Österreich, Christoph? Okay, good. Honestly, today I haven't been... What am I doing? Not preparing anything. I was kind of totally tired today, and yesterday was a super busy day in the garden, washing our paths, our stone paths with a high pressure water machine. Tirol, nice. I wanna go to Tirol. I've never been. I think I've driven through a few times but never really stayed there, but I hear it's really nice there. Hello everyone, let's get started. It's already 8 o'clock. As I said before, I didn't prepare anything special for today. I had an interesting discussion, maybe small thoughts of mine. I had an interesting discussion with a guy, I guess he's from Vienna, if I remember properly, and he's usually joining my live streams and is a follower from my Twitter account. And we have been discussing doing an interview, him and me, live on my channel, discussing some, basically stuff people being longer in the business could and should know. Newer followers might not know that stuff, but what he would like, what he is basically missing on most YouTubers' content and also other content, where basically my content comes close to what he is looking for, is trying to somehow show the bigger picture of XRP. Like, what is it really what we're talking about here? Internet of Value, ILP, the XRP ledger itself, I don't know how many of you know, has a possibility to issue, they are called IOUs. Basically it means what the abbreviation says, IOU. And that could be anything. It could be dollar, it could be gold, it could be stock, tokenized stock, could be anything. Lambo coloration, I'm sorry, I'm talking too slow, but I'm really hoping most of you don't have a problem when I'm talking a bit slower. First of all, I'm not native English speaker, that's one of the reasons, and the other reason is talking slowly helps me get my thoughts together well. Bashung email, when? Today? I don't think so, maybe it landed in the spam. I have to check. Maybe what was your name? Mbashung. Please contact me on Twitter. Tell me that you want to send me an email. I tell you my email address there, and you tell me yours, so that I will be sure that I will receive your email. Anyway, that guy I was talking about, R&B. Please correct me. I am a bit confused about the different handles on YouTube and on Twitter. But R&B, you're the guy proposing an interview with me, right? You're the guy from Vienna. The last 24 hours was 270 XRP. Graham Robson. Graham Robson, can you elaborate on the burn rate a little bit? Aha. I think Mbashung, was it maybe a comment on the video? I remember something like that. Well, how the price is kept low, or why, how I could imagine basically the same technique as the Shane Ellis theory, only at the very, very, very low price. I mean, basically when the price is trying to go up, let's say last price paid is 35 cents, and I offer then 5 or 50 times 1000 XRP for 32 cents. The price drops because anyone will buy my XRP at 32 cents, and that's how the price is kept so low. But why they're doing it? I think they're waiting for something to happen, though we don't know yet. I told it in my last live stream that that guy from the Telegram group from Love for Crypto, that the most famous guy there, I was forwarded a voice message from him and he basically stated in that voice message he thinks that all RippleNet members participating in providing XRP liquidity actually know already what the price will be, because they know the volume they have to cover, because they know how many banks, they have all that data. They basically know that, and yeah, so we can just wait. Volume is going down. Well, Graham, I'm not looking. I have to check Mbashung, but I think it was that. Now I see the mail. Hello Michael. Yes, I received it. Now I see it. I will answer it after the live stream. Can you please say you asked for a miracle? I give you the FBI. Why should I say that? Please elaborate private and public ledgers. What if all volume go through private ledger? To the moon. This makes me really angry. I think it was early December, late November last year when this stupid, really freaking stupid theory about private XRP ledgers came along, and I really tried to tell everyone that this is bullshit. and it's still bullshit. The only private ledgers we're dealing here are the private ledgers from the bank. And because they are private and they don't have two ledgers they can synchronize in two different countries, that's the reason why we have XRP after all. So just forget about your question. It's really why are bananas blue or never blue? It's about the same question. I mean, there are no private XRP ledgers. Who owns Ripple, the company at the high level? That's an interesting question. Well, I think it's even publicly known. I don't know if you can see it on the Ripple website itself, but I think they had about 3, maybe 4 rounds of venture capital funding. They have different names, I don't remember those names, and there you can basically see whom gave money and with what percentage. I don't know if you can see the absolute value, but you can check that. But let me make a note, I will come back to that maybe in another video or in the next live stream. Who owns Ripple? That's a good question. The number, Graham, you think burn rate relates to volume of transactions or number of transactions? That's a theory someone else stated. I don't think so. I think the burn rate is predefined. When you put it higher, you just guarantee more rapid validation, I think. But that's really it. And over time, when XRP increases, the burn rate should actually even go down. Okay, Michael can be right. RMB basically tells it why the price is not higher, at least. He doesn't really explain why it's so low, but what in this discussion I mentioned previously with RMB we had on Twitter, we basically agreed that basically during each spike we have seen in the past, let's say 18 months, the volume was always going up, and usually it was maybe for 5 or 10 minutes, in rare cases for longer. In really rare cases the transaction volume went up for a longer period. I think the last spike to, I don't know, was it to the 37 cents about 6 weeks ago? There we have seen, I think, for about 2 hours maybe a higher transaction volume. Gaurav, well, that's basically the question no one really understands, why the price isn't, why the XRP price isn't rising. I mean, if XRP were the stock from Ripple, we would be now, I don't know, at $20 or so. I mean, look at other companies' stocks soaring throughout 12 months. Amazon, Google, Apple, it's amazing. And Bashung, I will reply to that in my email. Email to Manuel Bashung regarding Swiss code. Okay, that's fine for you. That's more a Swiss specific question. Emonti, can I show? Okay. Vincent guy. Thanks very much. I will read that PDF document. Read the PDF, Vincent, and comment in next stream. Obviously, I cannot comment right now because I would need to read it first. Is it only due to outstanding regulatory approval that banks can use XRP with Xcurrent and XRP? User 77836, yes and no. Basically, anyone can send any, I would say, denomination of value on Xcurrent even before version 4. XRP, dollar, euro, gold, most likely. But the other side would need to accept the very same denomination of that value, gold, euro, dollar, or whatever. Now, the problem why banks do not use Xcurrent yet to send XRP themselves, that's the regulatory outstanding approval that banks are actually allowed to hold XRP or any other crypto for that matter. And once that's settled, banks will for sure buy various cryptos they think important, and one will be for sure XRP for sure. And then they could use Xcurrent even when there is not one XRapid installation in their country. So yes and no, that's, I hope that answers your question. Yes, RMP, those who wanted to know what we wanted to discuss about, scroll back up and check the comments from RNP. He basically made some comments in the chat what he would like to discuss. I think I remember one thing he wrote was SBI liquidity, the update to current Xcurrent 4 and price, and I think XRP in general, the big picture, like what I mentioned in the beginning. I don't remember if it was before the Let's Get Started or after, that the XRP ledger can actually have IOUs, and many, I don't know if that will happen, but many think these IOUs may play an important role in the future when it comes to tokenization of stock. How that will affect the price of XRP, I don't know. But what you have to know is the following, that basically on the XRP ledger you have what they call a decentralized exchange. It's like Binance or Bitstamp, but it's on the XRP ledger. And this, all these functionalities together basically provide kind of, let me phrase it quite simple, in a path finding. So if you want to send gold and the recipient on the XRP ledger should receive silver, maybe it's best to go first to XRP. So there might be XRP involved anyway in that transaction. However, even then, I don't think the price of XRP will be affected because it will be on this decentralized exchange where basically I don't know where it gets the price from. I understand it's a little bit negotiating between the sender and the recipient what kind of exchange rate they would accept. Yes, and ILP he's much longer in XRP than most of us. I think I would say since early 2016. I started late 2017. I think I told that before. Bashung, he's asking in German why I'm so convinced about the Shane Ellis theory. That's a good question. Well, basically September, October, November, December last year there was a huge expectation of all cryptos rising high, and many thought XRP would rise to $5, $10, $50 or even higher. And seeing that we had some days where we rose, I don't know, 10, 20, at times maybe 30%, but then dropped again later on, I was thinking, how the hell should this go? Should this work that the price of XRP will rise so high, so fast? Otherwise it will take decades until we're on $50 when we rise every year, I don't know, 100%, every year 100%. I mean, do the math, that'll take literally decades. Now, I was in my private WhatsApp group, a guy sent me a link to that video from Rob Art where this discussion with Shane Ellis took place, and I basically went through all the questions and comments from him, like answers from him, compiled this famous Shane Ellis theory document and distributed it in the online community. And the reason why I got struck so heavily is it was like boom, yes. I had no single doubt. The way he explained it totally clear in all details. He answered basically all criticism, etc. And that's literally the only way I think XRP price could rise. My maybe strongest opponent in that was Galgitron from Twitter. I'm assuming most of you know him. And he was really trying hard to fight this Shane Ellis theory. And Galgitron's theory, on the other hand, is based on a slow but constant price rise once XRapid starts being used. Okay, we know XRapid's live since, I don't know, now almost 7 months. October, November, December, January, February, March, April, like 7 months. Okay, more than half a year. And we are actually, I think, even lower on the price than we have been 7 months before. So something with that theory cannot be correct. So there must, I mean, that's only now, of course, something I can say that makes my belief in the Shane Ellis theory actually even stronger. Okay, and what is when the theory doesn't happen? Well, then I don't know how we will get to that price. It'll take decades, and all my logic tells me the price needs to be freaking high, 4 digits, and I think 1,000 will not cut the cake. I know none of the dates have come true, I totally agree, but I think the whole crypto community is aware of that. Digital asset investor has been promoting and proposing all year long last year that we will rise to, I don't know, $5 or $10 by year's end due to BACT and whatever other money asset managing bank getting into crypto, and still nothing has happened. So no one knows why the price didn't shoot, but most believe it will shoot. Bashung, yes, it's correct. Jane Ellis' theory has never been seen because there was never really something similar as XRP. I always say XRP is unprecedented. You cannot compare it with anything else. Not once in our whole world's history, 500,000 years or more, there has been a bridge asset. You cannot compare it. Yes, I have seen Casino Coin, and I am aware of that since I think about a year ago. I read about that they copied the code. Basically, I also tweeted that a few months back that I could create a copy of XRP ledger and call it iPinkies or something. I mean, anyone can do that. Problem is, would you pay money to receive iPinkies if you don't know what you can do with? And this Casino Coin, I'm assuming it'll be just more or less like a stable coin. I mean, I really don't see why the price of a Casino Coin should rise. It's just a money replacement. Connor McElhinney, ledgers. A ledger is basically an accounting, like a book where you keep account of your incoming and outgoing money. I think it's called accounting in English. In German term is Buchhaltung. And what was your question? Centralized and decentralized. DLT is distributed ledger technology, so decentralized. That's the whole purpose of it. Each private ledger from a bank is usually a centralized ledger because it's just within the bank in Switzerland. That ledger doesn't exist outside Switzerland. That's the whole point why we have DLT technology. Because in this private or bank ledger example, you need to trust the bank. And with DLT, that trust is being handled on a technical level and not on a personal level anymore. You do not need to trust person A or B. You trust the technology. That's the breakthrough of blockchain and distributed ledger technology. I have been having on Twitter regarding let me come back to the price, to the why the price is so low, and that many don't see XRP going to $500 or $1,000 or $5,000. Then I gave the following example. it's basically like you go to the car dealer and he tells you, look here, we have that car. He only uses 1 gallon of gas per 100 miles. Then you buy it, and after you bought it, he tells you, oh, something I forgot to tell you, you have to wait 3 years for the software update. Would you be happy? I mean, you would be really pissed. I mean, if he told you before, you wouldn't even buy the car, because you're thinking you will have this low or high mileage, I don't know how the term is used in English, that you would have this low usage on gasoline already now, not in 3 years. And the same is actually happening with RippleNet and ILP and XRP as a bridge liquidity. I mean, those banks getting into that system, they want to have the benefits now. They don't want to wait 2-3 years to get rid of their nostros. At the current price level, the nostros would continue to exist, and that's where the huge cost is. Nostros, I made a calculation once, but that's just the fees which are paid. You can do the math yourself. When I have to do it in my head, like not with calculator, I'm usually pretty bad at it. But I think some person told me that you can at least calculate about 7.5%. Some banks even charge 15% of fee when you're using their nostros, when you use them as intermediary bank. And that's the whole point of XRP, getting rid of nostros, okay? And to cut that, price needs to rise. That's the only conclusion I can make. Okay, let me Yes, R&B is totally correct. I mean, I am basically waiting for SPI. So, however, they said July. If that be 1st of July or 30th of July, I really don't know. But as soon as SPI comes along, I am actually waiting for the first quite significant increase to, I don't know, 5, 10, 20, maybe $50, something like that. That's what I'm expecting. And then once really utility starts kicking in, I'm expecting that to be tenfolds of that. Connor McElhinney, no. Ripple network, first of all, isn't a ledger. XRP only is a ledger. And this is distributed. What is private and centralized are the bank's ledgers, but that's not XRP, that's euro, that's pound, that's whatever, dollar, the currency of your country. I will, Conor McElhinney, if you're on Twitter, please tweet me. I will make a note so I can dedicate a little bit more specific. Maybe I'll make a video about that, explain. I think there are quite some nice presentations out there already. Connor McElhinney has troubles understanding private, public, or centralized, decentralized ledgers. Okay. And anyway, English to me makes another interesting example. He's talking about light sockets and stuff, and I'm assuming he's trying to explain how ILP and the Internet of Value will kind of evolve. In those discussions with those people trying to convince me that it'll take years to come to really high value for XRP. One reason I have stated already: banks want to profit from that technology now and not in 5 years. That's why they invested money now. Okay, that's one point. You want to have a rather quick return on your investment, usually, as a bank. I mean, eventually, as long as you cannot get a return on investment in 3 to 5 years with a software or a hardware upgrade you're doing, you're not investing that money, okay? And that usually takes time, because the cost saving you're making will not be equal to the amount of investment you did within a month. It'll take 2, 3, 4 years. So just assuming that those banks will only start using it in 2 years, they would be totally stupid. Then they would have like almost 8 years of calculation for return on investment. They wouldn't invest money into that. No way. That's totally stupid. I mean, but coming back to this, the second thing I wanted to talk about regarding the high price and why I don't think it'll take so low. And let me make a note. I think I will make another video about that. Beginning of the internet. I touched it briefly in my, I think, last live stream, that when the internet was born, first we had, I don't know how they were called, AOL, CompuServe. They were not even internet providers at that time. You could dial up onto their system and only surf their content. Later on came HTTP and made it possible for any end user, me, you, being able to read anything published on a web server. And then the internet basically was kind of born and came along. And the evolution of, or the scaling of that was fantastic. Like, I think within a few 9 months or so, about 80,000 web servers had been created worldwide, and that curve was totally increasing. And at that time, the problem was that basically the whole infrastructure, the whole, like, the hardware wasn't even there yet. Today we have the hardware, it's just a software update. So that move to ILP will go way faster than what we, I think there, I mean, ILP is now, I think, since at least early 2016 in a state where it could be used. I think since the end of last year it has reached a level of maturity where it's really worth investing into that technology. But you can for sure, you can be sure that by the end of the year we have lots of ILP users worldwide. Okay, now let me catch up with the questions. Ambassador is asking the amount of money transfers. I don't know how much money is being, I mean, the problem is what we are, I think on XRP charts it should be possible to see how many XRP move on the XRP ledger. What you can see on the coin listing sites is basically just the XRP being bought and sold on exchanges worldwide. But assuming two banks have XRP already, they could send their XRP to each other throughout the day 1500 times if required, and that volume is not being recorded on those exchange volumes, but it should be visible on the XRP charts. Okay. Okay, I will do more investigation also on the burn rate. Do a video. I will do to make that 100% clear, Graham. I will do some research on the burn rate. The way I understood it, but don't nail me on that, is like that. The burn rate is fixed. You can increase it to make sure your transaction goes 100% through. Then there are some transactions which have a higher burn rate. Not every transaction has the same burn rate. I think there is a difference between escrow transactions and payment transactions. About IOUs, sending values on that, there I have no idea how much XRP is actually being burned, but it's a transaction as well. So from those 10 transactions we see normally constantly on the transaction monitor, real XRP payments are maybe 3. The rest is escrow create, or it may not even be payments. I will check that and come back. I can't find you on Twitter. My Twitter is ipinky77. I cannot even, Darren Malone, I cannot even make a prediction for price end of this year. My logic deducts the price. As soon as utility kicks in, the price will soar. And otherwise it just doesn't make sense. And by soaring, I think at least $500, but it could go up to 20,000. And in the way I did use the probable value, I came in many calculations to a value between 2,500 and 7,500, so I stick with 5,000. But it's really not a prediction, it's just what I think is required for the whole system to work. Okay, one last urgent question maybe. And I try to answer that. Otherwise, I won't schedule anymore. I will come online just on a regular level Tuesday and Thursday, 8 o'clock Central European time. I will not schedule it anymore in order not to get it done wrong. Please tell your friends who are interested in having answers, being able to ask questions. Clipboard, IMF, I don't think that it will play a role in the SDR, and the main reason is basically being told by Christine Lagarde, and she said currency in the SDR can only, or a currency can only be part of the SDR if it's being used by a country as a official currency for that country, and XRP will never have that. So yes, live stream next week. RP, let me think a little bit about your interview proposal. Maybe not next Tuesday, maybe today in a week, next Thursday. We will be in touch and talk about that. With that, I wish everyone a good night or nice day. Peace. Thanks for your trust.